Hey everyone, how's it going?
I must take a moment today to thank the boldness of our government and our shareholders.
William Hamilton built his venture on the ashes of the Second World War. The copper mine he envisioned was ransacking the First Nations' ancestral territories, drawing the wrath of the local people. It definitely took nerves of steel to stay the course, despite all this hostility. Before long, in the face of William Hamilton's cold and uncompromising stance, the petitions and peaceful protests turned into sabotage, vandalism, and other criminal acts. The industrialists' private properties also encountered the wrath of the demonstrations. Carl Faubert, a veteran of the Korean War, was hired from Montreal as a private detective to shed some light on this whole thing. But at the end of his long journey to Northern Quebec, the detective did not only encounter property damage, he also came face to face with the corpse of William Hamilton. The strangeness only kept building throughout the investigation. A powerful, unseasonable blizzard hit the region. Bodies frozen in unbreakable ice appeared. The local fauna began to act strangely and aggressively. Carl Faubert began to doubt his own sanity. The detective felt the weight of a gaze, as if he were at the mercy of a powerful, feral creature waiting for the right moment to attack. Carl's fear was taking over, overpowering his reason. He was giving in to delirium. In that instant, he thought that the dark waters of the lake might shield him from the shapes that pursued him. From there, he had a renewed hope in civilization, or whatever was left of it.
Alright. Lake Michigan. I have no idea.
Carl knew that on one of these shores stood William Hamilton's lavish mansion, and there the detective had hopes of finding a way out of the area. A phone, a truck, who knows? Under the luxurious paneling and damask carpets, he might be able to find answers to his questions.
What am I looking for?
The detective wondered about the floating debris. Had it drifted out from the shore, or had it been abandoned there in the middle of nowhere? Carl saw a boat in the distance, clearly piloted by one of his own. Had he finally made it to civilization? His hopes were immediately drowned out by the sound of gunshots. Time to flee again, and fast. Carl swam without a thought, yet each stroke was desperate. The icy water and his wounds made him feel weaker and weaker. He had to get to shore.
one, Kona, Brume. I don't know how you say it.
The bleeding and the hypothermia were tearing at Carl's poor body. When he finally saw a light in the distance, he was filled with a faint sense of hope. Could it be a refuge? A flashlight to chase away the darkness. The batteries, unfortunately, would run out sooner rather than later. Carl had to keep his eyes open to find some on his way.
Plan. Richard, we miss each other again. I slipped the money under the door. When we are finished with the delivery, just leave in the key gazebo. Someplace as usual. Same place as usual. I'll be gone for a few hours, but I will see you next in front of the checkerboard. Be prepared to get your ass kicked. Charles. Gazebo. Date, October 3rd, 1970. 1. Construction material delivered. 2. Maintenance work on gazebo. AirPods.
Carl was convinced that he would not wake up if he went to sleep in this state. It was probably best to make a fire and take a look at his wounds.
Ammunition. That door? There we go. Loading. 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 Hey, day 2. Filter.
Carl struggled to wake up. His makeshift bandages offered him little time. If he wanted to find the truth, he had to get to Hamilton Manor without delay. There was something the detective found charming about the mechanism of the instant cameras.
Sorry, guys.
Carl left his refuge, knowing that he was headed to a more comfortable but otherwise ominous place. Hamilton's mansion.
Browsing. But okay. Down. Well, I guess one of my favorite mechanics of the game is riding down. I guess that would be one of my favorite mechanics in a video. See what's
Black bears were by nature peaceful creatures. At least they were most of the time. Under threat, however, this large, cuddly-looking animal could turn into a frighteningly efficient killing machine.
22nd September. Arrival at Manor, no travel. Ham in his office until 3 a.m. September 23rd. Chuck returns from fenced area. 3 guards at gay house. Perimeter rounds at 1:15 p.m., 3:10 p.m., 5:15 p.m. Lots of movement of equipment. Abnormal. Ham not present. Stayed at the manor. 25th September. Ham did not move from the manor. Ill? Question mark. 28th September. D-Day. Tonight. Chuck. Me. +4. Okay. Ready.
Bears are shy creatures. Until one day, for no apparent reason, they react aggressively to feeling threatened. That day is often your last. Carl Faubert was a sensible man. Attacking that wolf would not be among his smartest life choices.
But, I'm sorry, but then,
The ice looked recent. Better not test it.
I'm sorry. When the wolves are trying to attack you and potentially kill you,
Carl tried to put the horror into perspective. Accidents happen, and in the inhospitable far north, it happens more often than not. Nevertheless, a feeling of déjà vu stayed with him, as if the carnage was not over. A radiation detector. Clearly, Hamilton's people were digging for more than just copper. Keeping this handy tool could prove beneficial. What were these mysterious fragments? And why was there a warning about the Brume? This letter raised more questions than it answered for the detective.
Intervention Protocol Disaster Crisis Contingency. Hamilton Mining Corp. To the employees of the Emergency Intervention Unit, in case of an explosion or a disruption with the matter, 1. Quickly retrieve the secured box located in your coverage area. 2. With the device, locate the fragments to collect without delay. Beware of the matter's validity. Volatility? 3. Under no circumstances should you get close to the Brume. Brume? I have no idea how you say that word. 4. Collect the fragments with the mine's usual protocol. The mine special lab is the only safe place to bring back the fragments. Oh, we climb across. Okay.
Out of all of the animals in Quebec's fauna, the wolf was perhaps Carl Faubert's favorite. Its nobility and beauty were matched only by its ferocity and intelligence. Hey, I know I say a lot, but please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It means a lot to the channel. I try to play some new games. Trying to get back to some of the older games. I want to get back to Oxygen Not Included again. On that. Hamilton Estates. Yeah, I'm trying to This was the mansion
content
of the late
coming.
William Hamilton. No doubt about
Trying
it.
to revisit some of
There
the
was
old
no
stuff
other
as well.
rich industrialist in the area to have a sumptuous mansion built in the middle of nowhere.
I know I'm gonna probably be playing Frostpunk 2 here in the next couple of comes on next Thursday to be precise. I'm gonna try to play some of that next week. Then whether it will be the following, starting the 5th, I'm gonna have a lot more time streaming and stuff like that. I just gotta stay motivated to do this. I have a lot of games I want to play, and I'm gonna have a little bit more time. I just gotta be motivated to stream, maybe just even record. It's like streaming Mr. Take it as you go, man. Here we go.
Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète, tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC. Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète, tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC. Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète, tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC. Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète, tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC.
This letter, found in the cabin, mentioned a gazebo. The key to the mansion would likely be there.
I'll be open. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Where do we go? This is shit. Someone either arriving or leaving. crossword.
Carl was overcome with a strange emotion. The crossword puzzle was in French, so he guessed it was the work of a Hamilton employee and not Hamilton himself. Added to the mayhem was violence. Carl understood that a tragedy had occurred here.
Right.
From a simple case of vandalism to a mysterious murder, Carl found himself right in the middle of a battlefield. What could possibly await him now?
Oh, From the best-selling author of The Ice-Hearted Man and Caribou Oedipus. Private Eye Harvey Buck thought he was done with Maggie Sullivan. She paid him his fee. He handed over shots of her husband cheating on her. But one morning, Peter Sullivan turns up in his office and asks him to find Maggie, his wife, who's been missing for several days. Detective Buck's trademark acerbic humor is on full display in this comical blood-soaked thriller. His quest, which takes him across the United States and up to Canada, will have readers shivering from both anticipation and the cold. Originally from Chicago, Henry Esther, formerly known as Henry Hamilton, had his life turned upside down when at the age of 14 he left the land of his birth with his family to settle in Northern Quebec. This turning point in the writer's life confirmed his literal destiny and led him to fully embrace the language of his adopted country. He wrote first his novel He Had No Name during his law studies at Université Laval, handwritten for Emile Lebrun, who's always been there for me even through difficult times. Yeah. Huge. Wild hunt. Great.
Carl could feel his muscles weakening, his breath wheezing, his body going numb. What was happening to him? The floor was rocking. The walls seemed to be running from Carl's hands as he tried to steady himself. Something was not right. Carl's thoughts were twisting in his head, making him dizzy.
Vamos. Really? Oh, we got that done.
Carl knew how eccentric older millionaires could be, with more money than they know how to spend it. But never could he have imagined such a sophisticated puzzle.
Eustis wildlife is among the richest in Canada. I know I butcher that as hell, but... And the territory is home to many of Quebec's iconic animals, including moose, brown bears, and beavers. Castor Kendenis. They're rather shy by nature, but a keen observer hiking through the woods is sure to spot a few.
Struggling to move forward. His feet could hardly find their way in front of him. He doesn't know which way he came from or the way he's going. Everything seems to be going in a circle, a spiral carrying him. He doesn't know where or how. Suddenly feels like he's waking up, but inside a dream. The cold hits him suddenly like a bucket of freezing water. Had he completely lost it? Or was he supposed to accept the manor's strange architecture, suddenly leading him to the middle of nowhere? The detective had no idea how it worked, but the stones seemed to slide on the rails smoothly as soon as the totem pole was rotated. These imposing structures seemed to come from the depths of time, or from a moon landing, or even from his own mind, clouded after an afternoon nap.
We're getting somewhere.
He did not know how or why, but Carl sensed that something in this game had been completed, and now they wanted to lead him to this cabin.
Content is reminiscent. Psychotic.
Brume had been left all alone, abandoned to his fate. There was no longer anyone to rescue him from the torrent of hatred that swept away his heart.
We'll be back soon. Back soon. What was engraved on it, it's no longer visible. Oh, I didn't want to jump down just yet.
The detective felt like he was sleepwalking, pulled by a larger force towards the light that was calling him, as if it was asking to be set free. The stone that resonated in the room must have been one of the fragments HMC had been seeking. If he isolated it, Carl hoped he might come to his senses. The pulse of the stone invaded Carl's mind, and he felt a strange, dark presence take shape near him.
Die. Wake up from a dream. We're back in Hamilton Escape. Oh. On. Radiates.
Carl could make out some trophies here and there that he had seen earlier in what seemed like a dream. steam made it impossible to get to the staircase. There had to be another way. The whistle slowly dying down like a kettle going out meant only one thing for Carl. Mission accomplished. This wolf had a strange appearance, larger than average, and these blue eyes, that icy stare. Carl felt an instinctive terror rise in him.
But did I get this with? Wasn't it? All right.
Carl Faubert made a profession out of reconstructing a whole from seemingly incongruous parts. This reconstructed globe forced him to recognize how much more complex the mystery that was currently plaguing Manistan was in comparison.
Love letter from Cynthia addressed him. My dearest William, I understand the pain you feel, but Chow, as she stood between us, already pressured you into guilt. I'm not blind. Ever since she took her own life, she appears in all of your sentences. She was your wife, and to you, I am nothing. For this reason, I will accept whatever you decide regarding you and I. I just hope that you will respond to this letter. I would simply like you to remember the first time we met, that small cabin, which had welcomed us despite how nervous you were, and which had made us feel like the whole world outside had ceased to exist. I want you to remember the perfection of our movements, of their authenticity. You cannot be mistaken with that much passion. I know all about the cruelty people use when they talk about you, when they criticize the mind and its operations or your investment into innovative scientific research. I know you do all this with the same passion you possess that night in our cabin. A passion I know to be real, strong, and good. Don't let remorse consume you. I want you to know that I cried over Rochelle's death. I also felt ashamed. But we have to move on in order to embrace happiness. Even if it's simply in the guilt contentment that we have left together. I will respect your decision about our future and understand why you are so cold towards me. I hope that all the love this letter carries will somehow bring warmth to your heart. I beg you to answer me. I will be impatiently waiting, my dear and lovely wife. Really, Cynthia. Yeah. Opens the door somewhere. I wonder. Innocent book. To my American friend, if I cannot get you to rest, let's at least get you to learn something new. Warm regards, Dr. Claude. Windows of Perception. Encyclopedia listing psychotropic drugs and their effects on the human mind and body. Oh. How do you say that word? Trufrazan, yeah, is a typical antipsychotic of the piperazine class. It acts primarily as a synaptic dopamine receptor blocker. Its properties make it suitable for treating patients who suffer from hallucinations or psychosis. I see.
Hamilton's room would keep its secrets. A disaster made it impossible to enter. From the sound of it, whatever had just fallen was monumental in size. Carl Faubert was on edge. In this boudoir's former glory, you would have seen Lady Hamilton's refinement in every inch of the tapestry. It had become only a shadow of what it once was.
Raquel, the late wife of William Hamilton. Gonna read it for a little bit. May 1951. Writing seems to be the only thing to do here. I'm disinterested about everything. The beauty of the first instance do not impress me anymore. I only feel the frigid condition of the place making its way deeper and deeper into my bones. William is trying hard for me to forgive him for locking me up in this desert. The workers of the manor just finished the new Pearl of the House, a projection room where the best images of me are displayed. Movies scroll down along with my best angles and my best lines. William ignores that to be confronted by these bright eyes of mine only reminds me that I've become a sad shadow of myself. I wonder why this huge room? To see the great actress I once was, for him to enjoy what's left of my image, to forget I'm cooling down in this ice castle. June 1952. He wants to make me feel guilty for all this sadness that I have. So he uses her. He thinks I am unaware of what he does. That from the perfumes he carries on himself. When he returns home, I don't know about the way their body dance behind my back. Henry is worried about his little mom, about how I get stuck for days, staring at the emptiness. For him, I will have to put up with all this and a little bit more. For him, I will hold all my disappointments back. For him, I will remain silent. For him, I will stop cultivating this anger I feel towards this mine and the silence of the North, far from the honking cars of Chicago, of the workers shouting in the streets, of the crowd screaming my name. I think a lot about my mother these days and how she would be disappointed to the fire of a star like me being put out by such a snowy sky. January 1953. My fingers are sore from all the work, but I'm not fast enough. I'm afraid the costumes for the lights of our past will not be ready on time, or that they will not be majestic enough. I might need to ask Mill take me to Henryville in order to get better fabrics. This project is all I am left. The beauty of these costumes will determine who I am. William is very stressed as well. An employee came to deliver a report, and never once did the boss lay his eyes on the worker. What could it be? The usually overbearing William seems shook in front of his subordinate. June 1954. There was blood in William's chamber pot this morning. I discovered it with him over lunch and asked if he was feeling alright. I noticed how agitated he was all night long. His whole body shakes when he coughs, scratching his throat enough to make him bleed. When I saw his chamber pot, I could not help slightly smiling. I immediately regretted the smile. Felt ashamed. Will my nightmare ever end? September 1954. My project for a mill is moving along really well. I might even finish it before Christmas. She is so sweet, and I am grateful to count on her through this rough patch. I am so pleased that she is teaching Henry French. His schoolmates can finally understand him, and not just those ugly snobs who were brought here by their engineer fathers. I'm relieved. If William knew that his son, a member of the high society, was hearing the worker's dirty tongue, I could only imagine how mad he would get. February 1955. I live for Henry. His talent with words fulfills me. He knows how to create sentences the way I knew how to use my body to dance. His poetic mind will one day describe beautiful universes. I will give Emil some names of people I know in New York. When the time comes, his talent will be discovered. I hope nothing becomes him in his dreams. I hope he doesn't make the same mistakes as his mother. April 1955. I suffer from my own reflection in the windows, of the empty sound of my steps in this bedroom, of my own voice. When I'm talking to myself, I get nauseous looking at the snow piling up on the base of the mountain. I feel so alone. October 1956. There is nothing good left of an old and withered actress like me, except for others to remember what it looks like to everything. I destroyed the projection room. I destroyed the projection screen yesterday. William was so furious, I thought he was going to tear down the whole mansion apart. Henry ignores me. I am not even a mother anymore. I wish I could give him all the love I have left. The energy that keeps me alive, it only comes from him, my anchor. But Henry is not here to keep his old mother safe anymore. February 1957. Henry, I love you. Henry, you are my everything. Never would I leave you if it wasn't that we already lost each other. Be careful, my little boy. Like a malicious life is malicious, always trying to eat every little bit of your soul. Yours will be great and beautiful. Keep fighting. August 1950. Ash. Okay. Where was I? Diary of Mill Brume. Ezra killed me. All right, March 5th, 1961. I awoke this morning to the sound of movers emptying Rochelle's private boudoir of all its furniture. The room is now used as a storage area. This is the first thing Mr. Hamilton has done that has even minimally concerned his wife since she left. I wonder if it wasn't prompted by that letter he had gotten from her son. Henry wrote to me as well. He finally found out Raquel's sad ending. January 4th, 1964. What a great gift for the new year. I received a package this morning from Quebec City. It was a copy of Henry's novel. His very first novel, written in French, and aside, the most beautiful girl I had ever received. The book was dedicated to me. I cried over it. I am already on the 3rd chapter. The boy is like his late mother. He's an artist. January 15th, 1964. This morning, Mr. Hamilton spilled his coffee on some important papers and asked me to do what I could to save them. The papers meant nothing to me. God knows I'm not a nosy person, but a surge of curiosity led me to look at them anyway. One of them was a bank transfer slip to Mr. Hamilton's personal accountant. When I saw the amount, I almost screamed. I knew Mr. Hamilton was wealthy, I just had no idea how much. Interestingly, this money came from a foreign account. It was a branch in the Eastern European country. January 18th, 1964. Mr. Hamilton is looking thin and pale. He is working too hard for my taste. He is neglecting his health. I am worried about him. May 21st, 1964. Some gentlemen in jackets came to the house today and tried to ask us about Mr. Hamilton. They were asking about his financial situation. They spoke to me in a very unpleasant tone. I stayed vague.
It had the shape of a wolf, but Carl Faubert knew instinctively that it was not the wolf. That gaze that never left him, that icy blue gaze, was not that of an animal.
Any idea where the hell I'm gonna go?
Just a few days of renovation work. Finally have your very own projection. Here. Aren't you going to say anything?
There's nothing to say.
Whatever do you mean?
That room, it's not real. Nothing has ever been.
Calm down, don't speak nonsense. You know I love you.
As much as you love Lydia,
Who?
I know about her love, and I'm too weary to care about anything.
You're off your rocker. There is no Cynthia.
Never mind, it doesn't matter.
What up? Just streaming. I am, yes. Look at French poetry. Wingus is a tribute to the landscape and to the escape of the from the Canadian Shield to the St. Lawrence Valley. A blizzard of voices will rise into a soft and powerful poetic. The works of Play and Hector Garnou will come together along with a new generation of curious authors to discover one verse at a time. Another diary. Diary of Emily LeBurn, Brume 2. One of Hamilton's housekeepers, years 1957 and 1959. All right, February 3rd, 1957. Mr. Hamilton can be so cruel sometimes. He found Henry's manuscript. A violent argument broke out between the two, and Mr. Hamilton ended up throwing the manuscript into the fire in front of Henry. They almost came to blows. Objects were broken. Henry picked up and left. Michelle, throughout the scene, remained strangely impassive, with the same discontent air that has been hers for several months. Henry promised her that he would come and get her out of here as soon as he could. I thought I saw some emotion in Michelle's eyes, a fleeting glimmer, which died immediately. February 18, 1957. I found the bottle of pills in the trash can. It was Prozac. I think it belonged to Rochelle. The bottle was April 26, 1957. More Polaroids of Joseph. This is bordering in the session. The two seem to have a secret. I caught them talking the other day in the woods near the garden. The conversation was April 29th, 1957. My heart aches. Mr. Hamilton has had Henry's room turned into a guest room. He puts his business guests in there. All traces of Henry all traces of Henry have been erased. It is as if he never existed. I wonder where his belongings are. Probably in the attic. I don't know what I'm more afraid of. Finding them up there so sadly forgotten, or finding nothing at all. August 9th, 1959. One of the yellow police banners blew away and got stuck on the roof of the tower. Joseph still hasn't figured out how to get it unstuck. Every time I look out the window, I see the morbid banner. Huh? I didn't. Oh yeah, I know, dude. It's Friday. He's gone. I know he is. I haven't been able to write down. I haven't been able to write about what happened yet. Henry hasn't been told. I hesitate to write to him. It's not my role. I would be blamed for it. I was there when they pulled her up. Part of me wanted to watch, but I turned away at the last second. I wanted to keep a nice image of Rochelle. The rest of the day, we were questioned by police. I stuck to my story. The day before, Rochelle was not feeling well. In fact, for sometimes she had been spending her days in bed, only coming down to walk in the garden. That morning, I found it. She had vanished in the again. If she wasn't on the cliff, at least we wouldn't find her. At least we couldn't find her. The police think it was an accident. I suppose it's as always possible. Only my heart lets me believe something else. Her misfortune was so great. Here, isolated in the forest, far from all society, her career abandoned, and her Henry gone. I saw Mr. Hamilton give a few bills to the doctor, few bills to the police officer while he was talking to them. In the background, he fought their silence no doubt. September 22nd, 1959. Mr. Hamilton refused to hold a funeral for Rochelle. He merely erected a small, very modest stele in the garden. It seems to me strangely like Rochelle. Very fine, delicate, discreet. I think Mr. Hamilton is ashamed of his wife's suicide. I say it now without fear. Rochelle committed suicide. There is no point in September 25th, 1950. Mr. Hamilton spends his hours isolated in his office or in his room in the basement. He eats very, very little, just works as he at least morning. September 28th, 1959. The manor seems so empty to me since Rochelle left. I miss her feminine presence terribly. Without her, without Henry, the manor has died. Lost. Well, that's just a diary. That's just a diary. It's legit like reading a book, yes. uh, that. What have you? Pull out the hatchet. Pull out the hatchet. Ah, hatchet. Say, what? Jesus, that's creepy. Oh, yay, more reading. Gee. Oh. June 15th, 1954. Terrible headache. Do I want to partake? Does I partake? It's been a couple hours. Probably. I've been serious for 2. So. I mean, this is, I think, what, number 4 for today? All right. Sorry about that. June 15th, 1954. A terrible headache kept me awake most of the night. To my surprise, I wasn't the only one. The light remained on in Mr. Hamilton's room until the early hours of the morning. I also caught a glow from the top of the tower. Someone had been up there for several hours. Charles? What on earth would he be doing up there? June 18th, 1954. Mr. Hamilton seems to have changed for some time. The energetic, authoritative man he once was has turned into a preoccupied, nervous, self-effacing man, a servant, a newbie, a big awkward man named Bernard. Ran into him this morning around breakfast time and spilled something on his robe. We expected a most terrible tantrum, but Mr. Hamilton seems to have hardly noticed. He has lost weight, and he looks frail. We all see it. June 24th, 1954. It was our national holiday today. That's right, they're in Canada. Henry came to celebrate with us. He is such a good boy. It was good to see him so happy, dancing like a madman to his reels that Joseph played on his fiddle. He's usually so serious, so melancholy, that I sometimes forget he's still a child. The poor boy, he will leave the manor sooner rather than later. But he is still so young, so fragile. Alright, July 1st, 1954. I found some pain pills in the cabinet of Mr. Hamilton's private bathroom. This purchase did not go through his house service. He wants to hide them from us. December 5th, 1954. Rochelle is an angel. She made the prettiest outfit for Christmas Eve. What a pity that so much elegance is wasted on the finery of an old maid. This is a far cry from the grand theaters of Chicago. December 9th, 1954. The good Lord makes the days, and the days are sometimes cruel. Today was cruel to my little Henry. I discovered him late at night in the kitchen, holding in tears of rage. He was shaking and told me he was certain his father was having an adulterous affair. He is tortured by the thought of telling his mother. I tried to console him, warmed him a bowl of hot cocoa. December 12th, 1954. Sometimes I feel like this mansion is haunted. I hear noises in the south wall of Henry's room. Is it rats? Joseph doesn't think it's necessary to check. After all, I'm just a little old woman. After I read this, I have to go get a drink. My mouth is so dry. I still got 3 more entries. April 11, 1955. The other 2 servants and I had to search the grounds in the rain in the middle of the night. She was gone again. We found her on the edge of the cliff, her dress and hair soaked. Staring into the void, Hamilton refuses to face the truth. He says she is only sleepwalking. Rochelle has always been plagued by bouts of melancholy, but what has been happening lately is different. She seems to be giving into it. April 18th, 1955. Dear Henry, this young man never ceases to amaze me. He entrusts me with the reading of his first manuscript, a novel written in French. I was amazed. He integrated our language so naturally. Under his pen, it dances with grace, intelligence, sensitivity. He made me swear to keep it a secret, and I will. But I still want to shout from the rooftops. Our Henry will be a brilliant writer. July 29, 1955. How strange. I found in Charles' room, I was there completely by chance, looking for a brooch belonging to Rochelle. I found Polaroid photos of Joseph, the maintenance man. I often catch him spying on him. Whatever is going on between these two, I don't like it. Yay, that's done.
Whatever had forced its way through this wall was beyond the wrath of one man or group. Evil had entered through it. An impossible creature had taken over the manor.
Oh, what did you forget? Crunchy. Oh. Jesus. Okay. Charles's observation, colleague Joseph. Joseph, wa- blah, blah. Joseph was working in the garden last night. Movements are skillful. He goes about his task, stubborn vigor, the manually inclined. I can't help but imagine a more sensitive. He spends his time outdoors, doing maintenance and repairs. I think I've only seen him inside once since he was hired. But I sometimes catch him dreamily looking up at the sky or the wind in the trees. Sometimes things happen when you least suspect them. As I was setting the table, Joseph came in, walked straight to me, and asked for a bandage. He cut his finger on farming equipment. That was the first time we'd ever spoken to each other. We didn't say anything more, not even while I was treating his finger. At times now, I've caught Joseph neglecting his work to go for a stroll in the sun. Cigarette in the mouth. Reprehensive as it may be, I will hold my tongue. This new friendship is becoming more and more dear to me. A meal, indiscreet meal. It just told me that Joseph apparently has a daughter. Whatever happened to her? Who's by? I'm gonna ask you a question, David. What is your favorite video game mechanic? Is it sliding down a ladder? Is it being able to jump? Is it... What is your... Out of anything you can do in a game, what is your favorite thing to do? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. second. Alright, I gotta use the bathroom. Feels so much better since I peed. You know?
Faubert smirked as he
it's
spotted
amazing.
his phone number on the list. If only someone else had taken the job before him, he would still be in Montreal, sitting warm and comfortable in his car, taking pictures of some unfaithful spouse.
This is the phone numbers of other private investigators. 555-0169. Mark Theobald, unreachable. Out of province. 555-1098. Karen Savard, on maternity leave. 555-0115. Philippi Poti, not interested, has another contract. 555-0141. Carl Holbert, Korean War veteran, good profile.
Hamilton left everything to Henry. From his knowledge of their family history, Faubert had rather expected Hamilton to disown him. Despite everything, perhaps the father could never stop loving his son.
Last wishes of William Hamilton. In Maniston, in the absence of a notary, I, William Jacob Hamilton, made my holographic will. May God save me from sudden, violent, or infectious death, and may I make will with the appropriate legal authorities in Duncan Mackenzie's study in Montreal. In the event that this is up to date, will cannot be produced by the rules. This holographic will prevail over the previous version. All of my assets and fortune are bequeathed in accordance with legacy laws to my son, Henry Jacob Hamilton, and my wife, Rochelle Esther Hamilton. I bequeath them all of my properties and the entirety of the assets of these properties, of which Mr. Duncan Mackenzie, Esquire, can provide the list at the appropriate time. All of my property, access, and assets in any way related to my company, Hamilton Mining Corporation, go to my son, Henry Jacob Hamilton, making him an ex officio the CEO. Let him have the corresponding address or access. For any additional inquiries, please refer to Jules Demers. Signed in Madison on June 16, 1958. William J. Hamilton. Okay. Receipt typewriter. William, an unfortunate event is slowing down the repair of your typewriter. Another machine broke down along. The service lift I usually use to bring them down got stuck between two levels. Hasn't happened before, but today it seems impossible to open it. A specialist should come shortly. I ordered new keys, but we will have to wait for the delivery. A couple of weeks tops. I am very sorry about the inconvenience, Charles. Awesome, I got a rifle now.
Carl couldn't put his memories in order, but there was a more pressing issue. The decaying mansion had collapsed on top of him, trapping him in the basement. No need to try. Carl would not be able to go through there.
What are you talking about? Oh. Alright, Bob. Alright.
Hearing the screeching sound of the elevator, Carl imagined a metal animal trapped in a snare. There had to be a way to release it.
Ah.
Man is wolf to man, said the philosopher. Seeing the state of this poor woman, one could only imagine such fury, which would explain the barricades and the fright that Carl could sense in the chaos of the place. What had happened here was not caused by a man. Carl stood still at the commotion. It must have been the service elevator, suddenly coming unstuck. There were very few rules that private detectives abided by, but one of them was this. Behind back doors and complicated locks usually lay hidden the answers to your questions. This lock design was highly sophisticated. Hamilton had evidently paid a high price. What did he want to hide, and from whom? Few corporations had commercial ties with a government behind the Iron Curtain, and there was a good reason for that. What could this MIST program be?
SSR Government Inc. The Ministry of Defense Industry of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Inc. Hamilton Mining Corporation, hereinafter referred to as the parties, desiring to a close cooperation between the two countries, wishing to encourage within the MIST program mobility and exchange of the program's research and of research advances in new technologies and materials countries. Convinced of the interest of facilitating the exchange of knowledge on the new material, have agreed to the following provisions. Article 1, Purpose. The purpose of this agreement is to simplify and facilitate the administrative procedure applicable when researchers from one party eligible under this agreement wish to enter into an temporarily reside in the territory of the other party to perform their work and exchanges, and to improve their knowledge of other countries' discoveries as part of the MIST program. Article 2, Eligibility. The following Soviet and Canadian citizens may benefit from the application of this agreement. A. Chemistry graduate who was personally hired by William Hamilton. B. Doctor of Medicine, medical researcher with at least 10 years of experience in the field. C. All workers who are part of the MIST research program. Alrighty then.
Alarming similarities with acute radiation syndrome. Up to that point, Carl had been unaware that Hamilton was ill. Alarming was the right word. Nothing about this document was reassuring.
These are scientific research notes. Direct injections by the dissolution process, since they are lethal and are to be avoided, as shown by experiments number 38 and number 9. Prolonged survival of subject number 40, however, leaves hope for the ideal dosage. It is still too early to measure this progress. The paclitaxel discovered by the NCI has been promising, but the stone's effects on the environment are still too corrupted to consider exploitation on any other scale. Due to his neglect, Hamilton's body presents deep wounds related to severe contamination. They are multiplying and bothersome. Hamilton's symptoms bear alarming similarities to acute radiation syndrome. As it stands, aside from relieving symptoms with general pain relievers and morphine, we have to wait. Subject no longer vomits, which suggests a phase of recovery. Is electrical exploitation possible? Mushroom report cannot be used as fuel at this time. See Formula A table. Subject number 41 will be examined next week in the lab. Their structure is very close to humans. Optimism is allowed. Tests of the matter should be focused around its medicinal properties. Possible. They are doing some type of experiment. Damn Russians. What up, wolf coming out of nowhere? Back off. Back off. Back off, son.
The makeshift lab made Carl feel uncomfortable. He couldn't help but imagine the grim experiments that had taken place there. The note implied that its author had studied the Mistonite. If he was still alive, he might provide some answers.
On October 2nd, 1970, examined William again yesterday. His tissues continued to deteriorate. I fear that his lungs and his stomach suffered the most severe damage. His ulcers caused him much pain, and it's become increasingly clear to me that his bone marrow has been affected. At this stage, he needs to be hospitalized. If only for his comfort, but I know William too well to believe that he would ever leave Maniston. Therefore, the responsibility falls upon me to save his life. I will go to my office tomorrow to fetch all my notes on Mestonite, and I have to reread everything after.
Si vous entendez... Ah, quelqu'un, enfin! Vous m'entendez? Comme vous voulez. Ah, quelqu'un, enfin! Vous m'entendez? Carl Faubert, oui, votre nom me dit quelque chose. Je serais curieuse d'entendre ce que vous avez à dire. Si vous le pouvez, venez me rejoindre. On a établi un refuge au nord avec d'autres survivants. Longez la bordure est du lac Leech jusqu'à ce que vous voyez un quai près d'une tour en bois. Le refuge est proche. Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC. Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète, tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC. Si vous entendez ceci, ce message est crucial. Trouvez un endroit où vous mettre à l'abri. Ne sortez qu'en dernier recours. Si vous avez à sortir, armez-vous et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la Hamilton Mining Corporation. Tenez-vous le plus loin possible de la faune. Les animaux sont devenus extrêmement agressifs. Je répète, tenez-vous le plus loin possible des animaux et méfiez-vous de quiconque porte les couleurs de la HMC.
As he drove away from the mansion, Carl pondered the strange discoveries he had made there. The Hamilton Mining Corporation's true activities were shrouded in mystery. However, before he could uncover it, Carl had to reach the survivors at their Leech Lake shelter. Carl Faubert could recognize a love nest when he saw one. If Hamilton indeed had a mistress, this was the stage for their romance.
What?
Black crowberry has long been a part of the diet of the Innu of Quebec, who consumed it to protect themselves from the cold. Recognized the boat. Its occupants had forced him to dive into the icy water of the lake. But where were they now? At the sight of the peaceful lake, Carl Faubert remembered the embrace of the icy water. Its millions of tiny needles cutting into his skin. He was in no hurry to return. A pier and a wooden tower, just as Carl had heard on the radio. The shelter must be close by.
Oh, really?
The woman's radio message came back to mind. Survivors. Carl would finally get some answers. Black bears were known more for their skittish nature and their love of berries than for their aggressiveness. Still, it was important to be careful. Successfully scaring away a bear is great for your self-esteem. The consequence of failure, however, may lead one to wonder whether self-esteem isn't a bit overrated. Without proper climbing equipment, this cliff would be impossible to scale. Faubert froze at the creature's sight. Was it real, or another figment of his imagination? Without a proper weapon, the detective could not defeat the creature on his own. It was best to run away. The detective sensed he had lost the creature, but for how long? A sled dog. This type of animal usually stayed in a pack. It was quite rare, especially this far north, to find them alone. felt the warmth from the inside out. It was a strange sensation, as if he had a furnace burning inside of him.
Boy. In the game or in real life? Yeah, me too. I'm gonna go ahead and get off here on stream. We'll continue this game at some point. Alright guys, until the next one, remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit all those fun private things, leave a comment, quit. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.